Many of you are familiar with the show Love and Hip Hop Atlanta in particular, and how many of you are aware of the conversation surrounding a recent altercation between a Latina woman and a Afro Caribbean Jamaican woman, where the Latina woman, Erica Mena, called the African Caribbean woman, she goes by Spice, but her name is Grace. She called her a monkey. And it sparked these major debates because we know that monkey is a racially charged word. Um, and many people felt that Spice and the Black community at large really shouldn't be offended by it. The arguments ranged from Spice having provoked Erica into using that word. And so if you provoke somebody, nothing is off limits. Other people say that, yes, the word is racially charged, but they didn't feel that Erica Mena was being racist by saying it. And then still there's another faction that says that, well, Spice does look like a monkey. And so therefore, she was just saying the truth. And so they felt that Erica Mena should not have been, because she got fired from her show and everything. They felt that she shouldn't have been fired, or that if she were to be fired, then Spice should have been fired, even though Spice really didn't do or say anything different from what literally everybody else on that show has done and said. Like, if you stop that behavior, you wouldn't have a show. Some people might argue that that might actually be a good thing, but that's not really the issue. The issue is this mentality of colorism and racism being nothing more than insulting. Because I forgot, there was one more group that acknowledged that the word is racial, acknowledged that she may have been saying it in a racial way, but still contend that, well, why should she be upset if she knows that she's not a monkey, if she knows that that doesn't apply to her? Or we as Black people, why should we be upset if we know that we're not monkeys? And I got really sad because I realized that a lot of people really do not understand the gravity of racism in our country. They really don't understand how ingrained it is. They really don't get it. So I had to just kind of talk about it because, and listen, I have been, I don't know about a keyboard warrior. I've been a keyboard professor all week because I have just been flabbergasted at the amount of people who genuinely don't know the difference between racism and insults. So let's start with the N word and let's start with the monkey word. So understand, they were not calling our ancestors, and I like to say us, they weren't calling us monkeys because they genuinely thought we looked like monkeys or niggers. They weren't calling us that because they genuinely thought that we were less than human. They were entering a global economical venture that depended on the trafficking of human bodies. I am sure I couldn't even envision the level of brutality that they used to subdue hundreds of thousands of people who knew that they were people, who they knew were people. Men are not born without conscience. So I am sure in those early slave trade days, it was pricking the crap out of their conscience to have to look a human man or woman or child in the eye and brutalize them for the purpose of enslaving and profiting off of their labor. I don't care how greedy they were. I don't care. I just truly believe that they could not look from human to human and continue to justify what they were doing. And unfortunately, in situations like that, greed usually wins out. So what they had to do was they had to categorize. They had to say that there was some difference between them and us that made it okay for them to do that. And what that did was it satisfied a religious requirement, and it satisfied a moral requirement, and it satisfied a social requirement to justify continuing to do what they did. And so they had to say these people are different from us, or these things can't really be considered people. And how can you tell? Because their skin color is different. So you're not a nigger because your skin tone is brown. You're not a monkey because your skin tone is brown. You're a nigger and a monkey because you have to be different from us so that we can keep doing what we're doing to you. But here's how we can tell. Here's how we can categorize you: by using your skin color. It's like a dog is a dog, regardless of their species, right? You have big dogs, you have little dogs, you have whatever. They're not dogs because they have fur. But you can tell by the fact that they have fur and they're four-legged creatures and whatever else is a part of their anatomy. These are the markers so that you know that this is a dog. So we're talking about more than just hurt feelings here. We are talking about the actual terms and justifications that they used so that they could continue over 500 years, because understand, slavery did not start in the 1600s. Slavery did not start at the beginning of the Pilgrims and the pioneers coming over here. Slavery was in existence since the 1400s. So we're talking about 5 going into, a 600-year history of the chattel slavery and human trafficking of Black bodies. So when you call a Black person a monkey, you're not just insulting how they look. I don't care how you slice it, how you spread it, whatever you have to say about it. You're not just talking about their looks. You're basically affirming all of those atrocities that were done in the name of categorizing us as something different so that it can be okay, so that you can sleep good at night, so that you can get permissions from your government and religious leaders to continue doing what you're doing. What do we mean by dehumanization? That's another term that has been used a lot, and people don't really seem to grasp the gravity of what dehumanization is. Dehumanization was not just forced servitude, forced labor. Dehumanization means that I can take your child away from you and study them as if they were a rat in a lab, and you can't do anything. People making all these comments about, well, Spice deserved it because she talked about Erica Mena's child. Dehumanization means that a white person could call your child all kinds of names while you're standing right there, and you couldn't do boo if you wanted to leave that situation alive and keep your child alive. Dehumanization means that legit scientists could infect an entire group of people with syphilis, refuse to treat them, and watch the disease progress and track how long it would take to kill the human body. Dehumanization means that somebody could decide that this population is getting too large, so we'll do forced sterilizations on this entire group of people. We'll tell them that they're coming in for one thing, and when they come in for that service, we'll sterilize them and make it impossible for them to bear children. And then we wonder why Black people don't like going to the doctors, or why Black people don't trust medical institutions or government institutions. That is what dehumanization has done. And those are just 2 examples. I'm not even talking about the millions of lynchings that have happened in this country. I'm not even talking about all the ways that we were barred from opportunities, occupational, educational. I'm not talking about there were Black people who were landowners, and by dehumanization, they did not have the rights that their white counterparts did, and their land literally got taken from them. They saved for it, they purchased it, they worked it, and when they were prosperous, a white person could find a loophole. Come on, y'all. They could find a loophole in the laws, in the regulations, and say, well, this land now belongs to me because you don't have the same rights that I have. So please understand, the N-word, the word monkey, that is not ever something that we should ever be comfortable. I'm not going to say whether Black people need to use it among other Black people. I think that if it's your trauma, you get to approach your trauma however you want to, and we have collective trauma. So I'm not one of those people that says nobody can use it, but if you are not Black, if you don't have this history, please don't come around me trying it, because I promise you sure can't use it.